Hey everybody, it's a mailbag. I've actually not recorded a video in 2 months because I've been doing a renovation project outside of the state during this coronavirus pandemic, and so I came back to just a little bit of mail. In fact, I'm not even 100% sure that everything in this box is for mailbag, so if you see some things disappear, that's why. Also, while I was up there, my beloved Pixel 2 caught fire. And so I'm recording on an iPhone for the first time, so I'm just all out of sorts. I have no idea what is in this package. It is from Alaska. So let's see what we got here. This may not even be mailbag worthy. We'll see. Oh, let me keep this covered here. So, we got a little banged up, but we got a lock-picking set. Now, this was sent to me by Evan in Alaska, and he is one of my favorite people on the face of the earth. And he loved breaking into things, and I just always appreciated that about him. And so he sent me this. He sent me a nice note that I'm not going to read on the channel, but and this lock-picking set. Now let's see here. So that can't just pull straight out. Okay, so it looks like, let me get a spudger here for a second. Got one over here. It looks like this thing's supposed to come out this way. Okay. Close. Okay, can't even get into the lockpick set. So this is one of those little tensioner thingies, and then you've got all your little rakes and things like that all in here. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It also came with a one of these demo locks. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 7 little tumblers and springs in there that you can sit there and see exactly what you're doing when you're picking the lock. Let me bring that up higher. So I mean, as you stick, I'll put a smaller one there just to so you can see it. I won't be able to do it all at the same time, but as this thing goes in there, you can see what you're lifting up and what you're not, and because the lock is clear. So that is very, very cool. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate that. Maybe I'll do a separate video just about this thing. All right, let me make sure I put my tensioner back in. So that looks like that has to go in a little differently. That slides in and then pushes down like that. Well, that holds pretty good. Okay, sweet. Thank you. Okay, so this one, I know what this is and I know where this came from. Well, I don't know what this is, but I know where this came from. Oops, slice a little bit of the note. This, I believe, is from Scott Beasley, and you've seen him comment on some videos around YouTube, some channels that are more popular than mine, and I've seen him send some of these. I know Pile of Stuff got some, but this, I'm excited about this. So these are some boards he made. Now, full disclosure, I've never actually, okay, let me show this. I've never sent off a circuit board to somebody like PCBWay, who sponsors like Simple Electronics, or sponsors Gadget Reboot. I've never sent anything to like JLC PCB from like Voltlog, but I have hand etched some circuit boards. But Scott has made his own circuit boards, and they have some pretty cool uses, at least the one I saw. So this is a Proto board here, okay, NAND board. So I should know what this NAND board is. So it is basically like a breadboard, with the exception that it is set as a Proto board. So it looks like it's kind of made for taking something that's on a breadboard and kind of directly transferring it over to a Proto board type thing. So that is very cool, and he made those in a couple different colors. So these are version 1.1. Kind of interested to know what got screwed up in version 1.0 or what got improved on 1.0. So that's very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at these other ones. Okay, this is a smaller one. So if let me see here. So let's just say, back in the day when I was bored one day, I made a little Knight Rider scanner out of one of these small breadboards, and I could take this same project and transfer it over to a more permanent board and get my breadboard back. And so, and you can see by the time I use hot glue, I'm kind of expecting to have this thing for a little while. So yeah, so this would be for taking a project like this and making it more permanent. So that is very sweet. And I got a couple of those too. So there's 3 of those boards. I've got 3 of the bigger ones, 3 of the smaller ones, and then there are these things. So let's see what this is. This is a bus board. Oh, cool. Okay, so like, you know, a lot of times when you're making, you know, when you're making projects, you're using a lot of ground and a lot of VCC. And so this thing is made to, you know, be able to tap a whole bunch of different things to ground and a whole bunch of things to like your 5 volts and stuff like that. And then there's same thing for I²C. And yeah, that's a very, very good idea. Rather than twisting a bunch of wires together, you get a little, this could be a little subboard where all your little sensors connect to, and they're getting their power and their ground from here. And this is a little NAM board. It's the little Sebastian of NAM boards, and yeah, real similar thing for one of those little tiny, like a lot of times they come in different colors, this size breadboard. Very sweet. And another, oh, a nano breakout. Okay, this is cool. So these are, I saw some of these types of boards on other channels, and what's very cool about these is same thing as this one. If you have a whole bunch of sensors hooked up, each one of those sensors needs ground and power. And so you could take a nano. Let me go find a nano. So this is a Nano 33 IoT, an actual brand name Arduino board, and you could solder your pins right through here and it lines up perfectly. And then you could put pins on here, you could put wires, and every single one of these pins is broken out so that you can do ground, VCC, and your signal just right in a row. So if I had 10 sensors connected to this thing, each one would get its own row. Easy peasy, nice and neat. I love it. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate this. And by the way, Scott is a smart dude, and he has his own YouTube channel. He says it's not a channel, it's a collection of videos. But I love his content. Is very what would you call that when you do a whole bunch of it? It's on the tip of my tongue. Very not consumable, bingeable. That's it, bingeable. He doesn't make super long videos, so you can sit down an afternoon and just bam, bam, bam. And highly suggest that you check out Scott Beasley on YouTube. And thank you, Scott. I really appreciate that. I'm going to play with these things, and I have an idea for this nano one just right off the top of my head. So thank you. All right. Number 3. Okay, so this is for a top secret project that I have, and it's kind of funny. So I was in the airport, maybe South Africa, and I came up with an idea of how to use one of these sensors. This is I should probably tell you what it is. This is a current sensor, and it's an AC current sensor, and I came up with a project that will use this, but I don't want to tell you what it is right now. So I'm just going to leave that aside, but this is basically made to allow you to tell how much AC current is running through the wire that goes in the center. And hopefully I'll be pulling that off relatively quickly. And yeah, so whoops, if I didn't break it, you'll see it. Okay, I think this is something the Gadget Reboot talked me into buying. Yes, okay, so I've been known to mess a thing up or two in my life, and I messed up an IC project one time, and not long after that I saw the Gadget Reboot had a set of these little dip sockets and stuff like that, and so I decided, you know what, it was only a couple of bucks, so I'm going to get these things in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different varieties. And yeah, so when I do a project, I don't have to desolder the chip. I can just solder the little socket on there, and if I screw something up, I can just pull it and put a new chip in, which hopefully I won't screw stuff up, but you know. So that is there. By the way, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I have been I drove all night to get back here, and I am not myself. I don't feel super full of energy, but I've already started opening up packages, so we're gonna open them anyway. And we're just gonna go through with this. So these two things here are things that I got cheap. This was $6, and I needed a new pair of strippers. Let me see here. Let's bust this bad boy open. Now, I mean, Greenlee is not Klein when it comes to the tools. Greenlee is kind of the house brand of Lowe's for strippers and electrical tools, and they're okay. So let me see here. I've got a Klein. This is, I think, a 12-in-1 or 11-in-1 here, and this is a 6-in-1. You know, there's no doubt this is better quality. Why in the world would you need that little plastic thing on the end? But so basically, the way these are, electricians use these all the time. You know, you got some rubber insulation here. You got Phillips flathead, and then this actually works as a hex. And so same thing on the other side, Phillips flathead and hex. Now, I do like the true electrical ones will also have. So this one here flips around, and so you've got your Phillips and your flathead on this side, plus your hex, and then on this side you get the number 2, like Robertson style, and Torx and all that stuff, which ideally I like putting in things like breakers and outlets with the Robertson. You get more torque off it. So this does not have that, and this is nowhere near as well made. In fact, it's all like, if you look up here, it's all like crystally and bubbly, and I don't know, it just looks like crap. But it was $6 for all of it, and kind of grindy. It loosened up a little bit. Just kind of a medium set of needle nose, and then really what you would want here is the strippers, which let's see, not bad. I've got pretty big hands, so they open up. You know, they open up pretty far. You've got, in solid wire, you have 18 to 10, which is not a massive range. And then you've got your little hooks for hooking the wire over. And then, yeah, these, I wonder, I bet a lot of people have never actually used these things down here. So let me show you a few things. Okay, so I don't have any Romex laying around my shop, but we'll give these things a quick once over. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that. I mean, that feels pretty good. I didn't leave any kind of indentation cutting this copper wire. That is 12 gauge. So come in here, strip it clean. Didn't really leave much of a mark on the wire itself. Like, every once in a while, if these things are poorly manufactured, when you go ahead and strip down, it'll leave a little indentation around here, which will make it a little bit more likely to break. And so I've got that. Now, these hooks here are for when you're doing outlets. Like, you'll see right now, I've got this wire wrapped around this screw. And so the idea of this, and this is a little long, but the idea of this is that you put that in there, and then you're able to hook the screw. Now, you always want to go the direction. So, like, if I'm on the side of the outlet where the screw is turning this way, like, you always want it to kind of turn in on itself. So it pulls in, then you can use these little pliers at the end once you're around the screw to just, you know, to tighten it down just a little bit and stop it from slipping off. So that works pretty well. Another feature these things have that a lot of people don't use, but you've got these, it says 832 and 632, and this feels like an 8. So let's say I've got this screw here that's about 1 inch, and I want it to be about 1/2 inch. You thread it in here. Is that a 6? It's not a 6. That is a 6. No, it's an 8. Okay, so you thread that in this thing right here, and go ahead and run it in with the screwdriver. There we go. And then when you squeeze the pliers, this can go anywhere, so we'll see. Okay, it didn't fly off too bad. When you squeeze the pliers, it's 5 in the morning. I need to stop recording videos at 5 in the morning. But and then the act of backing this thing out kind of rethreads that last area where you just cut. And so you can see that I've got this cut screw and what I cut off of it. And every once in a while you'll get like a little bit of a hangover there, but it's kind of nice to have a little pair of screw cutters on there. And then this one down here is actually a crimper. This is not the best set of these. Like, if I were to grab, so like this tool is really not, this is Hawkeye, which is the other store brand. But you know, this one can crimp 16 to 10 gauge. This one will go all the way to, it'll do all the smaller gauges like the 20, I think even 24 on the red one. So then you've got a bunch of different bolt cutters, and you still have your loop things, and this one can do, can cut 10 gauge solid all the way to 22. So basically something like this is superior in every way. You can strip another size smaller, you can cut several different bolt sizes, you can crimp better, but this was $6 for all three of these, so they're not like, you know, not premium tools and not premium prices. They were on clearance. This kit was normally like $20 or $24, and I got it on clearance for $6. So I'm happy with it. Not thrilled with it, but happy with it. And last but not least, something I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep. I opened it, but then I thought, you know what? I should actually test it on camera. So this, I've seen this for $100 at Direct Tools. I don't actually know what the MSRP is on it, but this, and I've heard these things may need to be adjusted, but this is a set of 18 gauge offset shears, and these are really good for cutting chicken wire. They're good for cutting metal, vinyl siding, shingles, stuff like that, but I have a different idea for them. So I did stick this piece of metal in here. I bought these in Maryland, and I wanted to be able to test them. So let's see, I've got the manual, and like I said, I've not cut anything with these. So, okay, I got a battery here. There we go. So the way this works is it moves a lot faster than I was expecting it to. There's a thing here where you can adjust the blade gap. I don't know what the blade gap should be, so I'm not going to mess with adjusting it. But it has this, let's see here, somehow. Okay, so yeah, if you pull this little lever here, you can adjust the head, which is kind of handy to adjust it to different size. We're going to go ahead and put it in the normal. There we go. It locks in. It's got the little blade tool here to adjust. Little thing, if you wanted to hang it onto your belt, you could do that. It's got a safety switch, and yeah, it's pretty quick. So I did grab a piece of scrap metal to test it with. I guess it's not scrap metal, but metal I didn't have any use for, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, not bad. It made a clean cut. It didn't, it's not jagged at all. I got to work on my technique, but that's, this is relatively, I wouldn't say relatively, this is very thin metal, but it did cut clean and cut relatively quickly once I got the hang of it. Now, what I don't know is going to be too heavy, and what I thought this would be fun for, and we're going to find out if I'm going to jack it up right away. I thought it'd be fun for license plate crafts. My wife has been collecting a bunch of these and wants to make some license plate crafts. So the question is, can it cut this stuff? Well, so let's see here. Let's cut the L off. I mean, okay, so I think the first thing I figured out is the first time I was doing it the wrong angle. So let's come down here. Okay, so let's see about some blade adjustment here. Maybe make the blade adjustment a little tighter. Let's try that. Okay. All right, let me try this one more time. I feel like it has to be kind of torqued up like this. I don't know. So far, I'm not loving it. Let's try loosening the blade adjustment, seeing if we go better that direction. Or, yeah, loosening the blade adjustment, so putting more of a gap. I feel like a decent amount of gap. Okay, so we're getting better now. We're definitely getting better. Let's try this again. Let's So I think the real issue is if it gets stuck back on this side. Try it again. I don't want to cut the letter if I don't have to. So I'm going to reserve judgment on this thing. I don't love it. I don't hate it. We'll see. Maybe with some more tweaking, I can get some better results. So far, I think I could see how it could be really handy. I'm not sure if it's super handy for me. So anyway, that is today's mailbag, and thanks for watching. And I will have a little bit more energy in the next video, and I'm just glad to be back recording. I'm glad to be back talking to you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.